Hello beauties and beasties, and welcome to my half human, half dragon makeup tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make it look like half of your face was burned off and you're a majestic dragon underneath. Quick disclaimer, if you do not own liquid latex or you're allergic to it, don't use it for this tutorial because you know what, you can look just as dragony without it. Now before I begin, I'm going to put up my long Rapunzel-like hair because we don't need a dragon through anything. Huh, dragon. I personally started off with some foundation on my face, but you can go with or without. It's up to you. You do you. We're not going to use any real fire. Instead, we're going to use some makeup. First, I'm going to use this NYX Eyeshadow Primer. I'm going to completely cover the side of my face that I'm going to put the makeup on. I have to make sure that I really get it on there. This eyeshadow primer is going to help bring out some of the pigments of the eyeshadows that we're going to use for the base of the makeup. Let's just move that out of the way so we can get to the shoulder. I'm going to continue putting the eyeshadow primer all the way down to my shoulder because that's how far down I want the makeup to go. For the eyeshadow, I found the most pickle green I could find, and it is in this NYX palette. I'm going to take this green color and start an outline of where I want all the makeup to go, starting from the top of the forehead all the way down to the shoulder. The line doesn't have to be perfect, and it can go however you want down your face. I just happen to have mine to the right of my nose and the right of my mouth and all the way down to the right shoulder. Just a reminder that the space that you outline is going to be filled with eyeshadow, so if you do not want to spend a lot of time filling something in with eyeshadow, make your outline area just a little bit smaller. And here comes the main event, filling this puppy in. You're going to take the same color that you used for the outline and just fill everything in. It's going to take a while, but it will definitely give you awesome results in the end. You want to make sure that you thoroughly pack on the eyeshadow because you do not want to have to go back later and fill in any of the spots that you missed. A tip is to use a softer eyeshadow because it's easier to put on and it layers nicely. I'm almost done with the face, and soon it will be time to move on to the neck and the shoulder. I have some pretty pronounced collarbones, so I have to work extra hard to make sure that everything is covered. Now that I've finished that, I'm going to do a little happy dance and then move on to making some patches. This part is completely optional, but it adds a little bit more to your makeup and it makes it look a little bit cooler. I'm adding two little patches below my shoulder piece, and of course I mess up there. Make sure you put on your concentration face because putting makeup on your shoulders is a little bit harder than it seems. Make sure that if you're doing the patches, you make it as dark as the makeup that you put on your face. And voila, we have finished the base. Now we have to crack our knuckles and get prepared to do some mad detailing. For this part, I'm using a NYX matte liquid eyeliner in the color black, and I'm going to use this for the details. I think that using a black liquid eyeliner is a lot better than using a pencil eyeliner because it shows up a lot better. For the detailing, you want to pick a spot to start at. I decided to go with my forehead. For these dragony scales, I'm going to be using the black liquid eyeliner to draw some upside down camel humps. Or if you want to be boring, you can call them W's. Once I got to the second row, I started doing some more upside down camel humps, and these ones start from the humpy part of one hump to the humpy part of the other. I'm going to continue this pattern all the way down my face, neck, and to the shoulder, and you might want to mentally prepare for this part because it's going to take a while. The scales don't have to be perfect, as long as they're consistently about the same size and the same shape, you'll be good. Right now the scales are going to look two-dimensional, but further on in the video we're going to go over how to make them look more three-dimensional. Once we get done with putting the scales on the face, we're going to go back and we're going to do the eye, so you don't have to worry about doing anything with that right now. Adding a colored contact would really set this makeup off, but unfortunately I do not have any colored contacts with me. Now that I've finished covering my face in scales, I'm going to move on to the eye, and for this I'm just going to use a simple winged eyeliner look. I personally like to start from the middle of the eye and start drawing a line out to the outer corner of my eye, and then coming from the inner corner and connecting it to the middle. For this look I chose to do more of a dramatic look, so I'm going to take that line and I'm going to extend it down to the inner corner of my eye, just a little bit past the tear duct. I'm going to start lining the bottom part of my lid and then move on to the wing, because what dragon doesn't have wings? To do the wing, I start with the furthest point out that I want my wing to go and draw a diagonal line to connect to the line I already have made. For the second line, I'm going to start at that same exact point, and I'm going to bring that line towards more of the center of my eye rather than down to the line that we just ended at. To finish off the eye look, we're going to fill in the bottom lash line with an eyeshadow, preferably a dark blue or a black. It's up to you. Now the eye is complete, and back to drawing scales over and over again, but down our neck and the shoulder. It's a very tedious job, but in the end it's going to look really cool because you'll have all of your scales there and you'll be an official human dragon hybrid thing. Don't forget to add scales to those patches that you have because they're still there. Don't worry, they haven't moved. More focused face when we get onto that shoulder again. And we're done. Now I'm going to get real up close and personal with you guys. We're going to start making the scales look more three-dimensional. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to shade in, every single scale. The way that I like to shade this in is you start in between the two scales above the scale that you're going to be shading, and you do it like right in the crack, right in between the two scales above it. And you'll see what I mean. You want to use the same black eyeshadow that you used for your lower lash line to do this. Now the purpose of this is to make it look like the scales are slightly overlapping each other. The technique that I use for this is starting in between the two scales above it and then doing a downward sweeping motion with the black eyeshadow, but you don't want to go too far down because then you'll completely cancel out the green that you spent so much time working on. Unfortunately, this makeup does not give you the power to fly, although that would be really cool. Focus face. I think we all deserve a snack break right now because we've been working pretty hard. And who doesn't love some hummus and some strawberries? Okay, back to work. Now I'm going to take this very thin makeup brush, which you can also use a paintbrush for this, and dip it in some red face paint and drag that line all the way down against the green line that you created in the beginning. This is just the start to our gory part of the makeup. We gotta line that baby up. To add to the three-dimensional look, we have to stop what we're doing, grab a white eyeliner, mine is from NYX, and we are going to add a little bit of a shine to the bottom of the scales as opposed to the shadow that's at the top of them. And of course that happened to me. Note to self, don't push too hard when you're using an eyeliner pencil. And just like the shading that we did, this is going to have to go on every single scale as well. After you've highlighted all of the scales, you want to go back with either your finger or a brush and just kind of press down the white just to make sure that it doesn't look too cartoony and it looks more three-dimensional, so it's just a shine and not a splotch of white. And because I'm of the classy persons, I use my finger. As soon as you're done perfecting your scaly scales, we can move on to the next step. For this part, I'm taking my finger over the red line that we created and I'm just kind of smudging it out a little bit so it's not such a fine line and it's more of a kind of bleeding effect. Once you've smudged it out to the desired look, it's time to grab our liquid latex. And if you don't spill it, kudos to you. Now it's time to grab a towel because it's gonna get a little messy. Go ahead and grab the nearest can of coffee grounds. That's right, we're using coffee in this look. We're gonna go back and forth with the latex and coffee. You wanna take the latex and draw a line right next to the red line that you made, and then you're gonna pour the coffee immediately onto it so that it can stick. Make sure you close your eyes for this part because, spoiler alert, coffee and eyeballs do not go well together. This is the part of the look that really makes it look like your face got burnt off. Charming, I know, right? If you can't use the latex, you can always use a brown face paint and kind of splatter it on the way that we have the coffee. Caution, you may end up with some unwanted items stuck to your hands during the process. You want to repeat this process all the way down the face, neck, and shoulder. I highly suggest not using the coffee after you've done all of this because you may have gotten some latex in your coffee and you're really not supposed to eat latex. Yep, I pulled out the chicken wing for this. On to the fake blood part. You can be as messy or as clean with this as you wish. I kinda went for an in-between. Once you've applied the fake blood, you want to take your finger and kind of smudge it out. I hope you guys haven't removed that towel off your lap because this part can be a little bit messy too. Trust me, I had about 3 drops drip down onto my lap, but luckily there was a towel there. Just a little bit more touching up and we will be done with the gory part of the look. For the last piece of this look, we are either going to take brown eyeshadow, black eyeshadow, or both and smear it on our skin to make it look like we just arose from a fire. Being classy, using our finger to smudge around the makeup again. What I like to do is I like to take my finger into the brown or black and just kind of place it on my skin and then drag it in whatever direction I please. And if you're using a brush, you can kind of just sweep up some eyeshadow and just kind of dust it on. And we're almost done, beauties and beasties. If you feel like you look all burnt up and stuff, then go ahead and let that hair down. Here is the final and completed human dragon hybrid look. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you try it out for yourself because it is a lot of fun. Be sure to keep on the lookout for my future tutorials. I'll see you in my next video, beauties and beasties. Don't forget to stay awesome.